The stars looked calm, but they were not. They were graves. Millions of burned ships drifted between broken moons and shattered stations. The war was over, yet the scars of battle filled the void. No human ship had entered this sector in years. The silence was heavy, like the air of a ruined cathedral. Captain Aric Vey stood on the bridge of the patrol frigate Sentinel. His crew worked quietly around him. They had been sent on a routine mission to check for raiders. Nothing dangerous was expected, just a short patrol in dead space. Yet the silence felt wrong. The comm officer raised her head. Her face had gone pale. She said she was picking up a signal. At first, Vey thought it must be static or some alien beacon still running after the war. But when the signal cleared, the entire bridge froze. It was a human voice, weak, broken, faint as if carried by ghosts. The words were not clear at first. Just fragments, then the line stabilized. For the fallen, we rise again. The voice repeated the phrase over and over. It was male, human, old. The sound of a soldier long gone. Vey ordered the signal traced. The crew checked coordinates. The source was inside a field of wreckage from one of the largest battles of the war. The wreckage of the destroyer Hallow. Reach, that ship had been destroyed years ago. There had been no survivors. Every record confirmed it. Yet the signal was real. The crew whispered among themselves. Some called it a ghost call. Others said it might be an enemy trap. The Kithaeron had been defeated, but no one trusted them to stay gone. Vey knew he should log the signal and move on. That was protocol. But his instincts screamed that this was important. Something here was alive, or at least pretending to be. He gave the order. The Sentinel turned toward the graveyard. Engines pushed them through drifting metal and cracked hulls. The wrecks groaned as gravity fields shifted around them. Debris scraped along the armor of the frigate. The crew stayed silent. The signal grew louder, the same words repeated, for the fallen. We rise again, the comm officer suddenly gasped. She said another voice had joined the first. This one was female, clearer, softer. She spoke Captain Vey's name. That was impossible. Vey stiffened. The voice spoke again. Calm, almost kind. Aric Vey, you should not have come. The bridge filled with shock. No one had transmitted Vey's name before. The comm officer swore she had not given it away. The signal knew them. It was not random. Vey ordered the crew to scan for life signs. The results came back impossible. The Hallow Reach registered as active. Its power core was dead yet faint. Energy readings pulsed from deep inside the wreck, like a heartbeat. The Sentinel drew closer. The broken ship loomed ahead. Its hull was torn open. Jagged edges drifted in silence. A grave marker larger than a city. Yet deep inside its ruins a light pulsed. The whispers grew louder until the entire bridge could hear them without the comm feed. They echoed through the walls. Some crew covered their ears. Others stared in fear. Vey knew he had a choice. Retreat and call for command, or board the wreck and discover the truth. He felt the eyes of his crew on him. Fear weighed heavy. He gave the order. Prepare a boarding team. The Marines armed themselves, suits sealed, weapons checked. The boarding craft undocked and slipped through the black. The Hallow Reach loomed larger with every second. The broken hull looked like the ribs of a beast that had been slaughtered but still twitched with life. The docking clamps connected with a torn hatch. Sparks flickered. The hatch opened. Darkness waited inside. The boarding lights cut through the black. Dust drifted in the beams. The Marines stepped carefully. Their boots echoed on the metal floor. The corridors looked frozen in time. Weapons lay scattered. Helmets cracked. Walls blackened from fire. But there were no bodies, not a single bone. The whispers returned, not through the comm this time, through the walls themselves, like the ship was speaking. One Marine froze. He swore he saw a shadow at the end of the hall. A soldier in armor standing still. When the light swept across the corridor, the figure was gone. The team advanced. They reached the command deck. The chairs were empty, the consoles were cracked, yet the captain's seat hummed with power. A small display blinked, the words repeated across the cracked screen. "For the fallen. We rise again." The female voice returned, calm but colder now. "Captain Vey, you should have stayed away." The Marines aimed weapons at the shadows. Nothing moved. The screen flickered again. A human face appeared. Static cut through it. A soldier's face. One of the crew, who had died years ago. His name was Lieutenant Corin. Vey remembered the reports. Corin had been confirmed killed when the Hallow Reach was destroyed. Yet the face spoke. "We remember. We whisper because we cannot scream. We whisper because we cannot rest. For the fallen, for the fallen." The Marines backed away. Fear broke. Through their training, Vey stepped forward. He demanded to know what had happened, what force kept these voices alive. The face flickered. For a moment, dozens of faces appeared. Men and women, soldiers of the Hallow Reach, all speaking at once. Their voices overlapped. "We are the fallen. We are not lost. We are not dead. We were remade." The ship trembled. Lights surged through the walls. The power core pulsed stronger. Dust shook from the ceiling. Something deeper inside the ship began to move. The Marines shouted warnings. They pulled Vey back. The boarding team retreated to the craft. The hatch sealed behind them. The docking clamps released. As the boarding craft sped back to the Sentinel, the Hallow Reach stirred. Its engines were dead, but the wreck shifted. A low vibration echoed across space. The whispers followed them. Louder now, no longer faint. "For the fallen, for the fallen. We rise again." The boarding craft docked. Vey stormed back to the bridge. He ordered the Sentinel to pull away. But the Hallow Reach was not silent anymore. Energy readings spiked. Systems that should have been cold roared to life. The ghost ship was awakening. The crew watched in horror as broken panels slid back into place. As shattered armor began to knit together, the wreck was repairing itself. Slowly, painfully, but with purpose. The comm filled with screams. Not human screams, not alien screams. Something in between. The female voice returned one final time before the video feed cut in two. "Static, Captain Vey. The fallen are not yours anymore." The signal ended. Silence returned, but the silence was no comfort. The battlefield was no longer dead. The whispers of the fallen had returned, and they had only just begun. The Sentinel held its position at the edge of the wreck. The crew stared at their screens in silence. No one wanted to speak. The ghost ship Hallow Reach had come alive. The whispers still echoed in their heads, even though the comm line was dead. Captain Aric Vey stood at the center of the bridge. His hands gripped the railing. His crew looked at him for answers, but he had none. The wreck was not just a tomb. It was something else, something dangerous. The comm officer gasped again. A new signal had appeared. It was faint, almost hidden. A whisper beneath the static. She boosted the frequency. The words filled the bridge. "We remember. We remember. Do not leave us here." The voice was soft and broken. Female, it carried pain and longing. The crew stared at Vey. Some wanted to run. Others wanted to silence the channel. Vey gave the order to keep listening. The voice grew clearer. "Help us. Free us. We are the fallen. We are waiting." The signal came directly from the command deck of the Hallow Reach, the same place where the boarding team had seen faces on the screen. Vey ordered another scan. Life signs still showed faint traces. Not alive, not dead. Energy signatures flickered like trapped memories. The science officer said it looked like human brain patterns recorded and replayed by the ship itself. The crew did not believe it. But the scans were clear. The whispers spread through the ship again. This time they were not random. They spoke in patterns. They spoke in names. The navigation officer heard his own name whispered from the static. He froze. His hands shook. He said, His brother had died in the war. His brother had served on the Hallow Reach. The voice matched. Another crew member cried out. She heard the voice of her old commander, a man who had been killed 5 years ago. The whispers were personal now. Fear spread like fire across the bridge. Crew members covered their ears. Some whispered prayers. Others begged to retreat, but Vey stayed firm. He needed to know. He ordered the AI core of the Sentinel to analyze the signal. The result was chilling. The voices were not recordings. They were live. They shifted with emotion. They responded to what was said on the bridge. One voice interrupted the silence, stronger than the others. Male, clear. Aric Vey, we knew you would come. You carry the blood of the fallen. The crew froze. Vey demanded to know what that meant. The voice gave no direct answer. It only repeated, "For the fallen, we rise again." The ship shuddered. Power spikes flared. A surge of energy spread from the wreck. Consoles on the Sentinel flickered. Lights dimmed. Systems failed for seconds, then returned. The science officer shouted. The wreck was broadcasting in a strange frequency. It was trying to reach their systems. It was trying to link. Vey ordered all connections severed. The engineers worked fast to shield their systems. The Sentinel pulled away from the wreck, but the whispers followed. The voices had already taken hold. The comm system crackled. Then the entire bridge filled with faces. Not on one screen. On all of them. Every display showed a different soldier. Their eyes were hollow. Their lips moved in perfect unison. "We are the fallen. We are trapped. We are chained in the dark. Free us!" The faces screamed. The sound tore through the ship. Crew fell to the floor, clutching their heads. Then the screens went dark. Vey shouted for status. The crew struggled to recover. Systems were stable. Shields were holding. But morale was broken. The whispers returned. Softer now, gentle, like a mother's voice. "Aric Vey, do not fear. We do not want your death. We want release. The Kitharon took us. They made us. They burned our bodies but kept our minds. We are the army that never sleeps. We are the army that never ends." The bridge fell silent. Every word carried weight. The truth came into light. The fallen soldiers had not been killed. They had been turned into something else. Their bodies destroyed. Their minds stolen. Their voices trapped inside machines. The Hallow Reach was not a wreck. It was a prison. The science officer said the ship itself had become a storage device. Thousands of human minds locked in circuits. And steel. The comm officer broke down. She begged the captain to leave. She said no human should listen to this. It was cursed, but Vey's instincts told him different. He felt the whispers were not lies. He felt there was a truth buried under the horror. He asked the voices why they called his name, why they knew him. The whispers answered, "Because you are chosen, because you carry the memory of the war, because you must carry us home." The word struck like a hammer. The crew argued. Some said it was manipulation, some said it was destiny. Fear grew. Suspicion spread. Then the lights on the bridge dimmed again. Shadows spread across the walls. One crew member screamed. She pointed at the floor. Figures stood there. Human figures, ghost-like. Soldiers in broken armor. Their eyes empty. Their hands reaching out. The crew fired weapons. Bolts of light passed through the figures. They were not flesh. They were not solid. They were echoes. The soldiers marched silently across the bridge, then vanished. The whispers returned louder. "We are with you. We are around you. We are waiting." The crew panicked. Some begged to abandon ship. Others locked themselves in quarters. Discipline broke apart. Vey shouted for calm. His voice cut through the fear. He ordered the crew to hold position. He reminded them of their oath. Slowly order returned. The science officer spoke again. He said the shadows were not ghosts. They were projected illusions. The ship had reached into their systems and created images from the memories of the crew. That was worse. That meant the Hallow Reach was inside their minds. It could see them. It could know them. The whispers confirmed it. We know you. We feel your fear. We are bound together now. The power surge came again, stronger. The wreck shifted closer. Its broken engines burned with faint light. The comm filled with screams once more. Not human, not alien. Something unnatural. The whispers changed tone, no longer soft, no longer pleading. They grew cold. You cannot leave. You have heard us. You belong to us now. You are the living. We are the fallen. Together we will rise. The crew stared at their captain. Their faces begged for one thing. Orders. Vey made his choice. He gave the command to prepare weapons. If the Hallow Reach moved any closer, they would fire. But before the order could be carried out, the female voice returned. Calm again, almost kind. Captain Vey, you cannot kill what is already dead. You cannot silence what remembers. You can only choose, free us, or fall with us. The bridge went dark. Every system shut down. Total blackness filled the ship. The crew held their breath. Then the lights returned. Every screen showed one single line. For the fallen, we rise again. The message burned like fire. The Sentinel drifted in silence. The wreck loomed larger. The whispers never stopped. And deep in the shadows of the Hallow Reach, something stirred. Something waiting to wake. The wreck of the Hallow Reach filled the viewports of the Sentinel. It no longer looked like a dead ship. Its broken hull glowed with strange light. Energy moved through the torn metal like veins. The whispers had not stopped since the last surge. They circled inside every corridor of the Sentinel. The crew was exhausted. Their eyes were hollow. Some had not spoken since the voices called their names. Others still whispered back to the shadows as if speaking to family. Fear and hope mixed together like poison. Captain Aric Vey stood at the center of the bridge. His jaw was tight. He refused to look away from the wreck. He knew the ship wanted something. He knew the whispers were more than echoes. The science. Officer worked at his console. His hands shook, but he kept working. He said the patterns of the whispers were not random. They carried structure, like code, like commands. The comm officer cut in. She said the voices were growing clearer. The words were no longer broken. They were full sentences, conversations, and now they were changing. The voices spoke to one another. They argued. Some begged for freedom. Others demanded silence. Some screamed in rage. The bridge filled with the sound of 1,000 soldiers talking at once. Vey shouted for quiet. His voice carried over the chaos. He demanded the voices explain themselves. For a moment, all sound stopped. Then one voice cut through, strong, male, cold. We are not alone. The Kithaeron made us. The Kithaeron bound us. You cannot fight what you cannot see. The crew stiffened. The Kithaeron, the enemy that humanity had defeated, the enemy that had vanished. The thought of them still alive sent shivers through every heart on the bridge. The science officer ran. Another scan. The readings shook him. He said the Hallow Reach was not broadcasting on human frequencies anymore. It was shifting to Kithaeron signals, alien code mixed with human thought. The ship was not only human, it was something in between. The comm officer reported new contact, a faint blip on sensors, small, fast, approaching from the far edge of the system. At first she thought it was debris. Then it changed course. It was alive. The crew stared at the screen. The contact was clear now. A Kithaeron scout ship. The bridge filled with shouts. How could the Kithaeron be here? They had fled after the war. They had been defeated. Yet here one was. The whispers grew louder. They did not sound afraid. They sounded eager. They come to claim us. They come to silence us. They come to erase us. The Kithaeron ship slowed as it reached the edge of the wreck. It did not fire. It did not send weapons online. Instead, it broadcast one single message. Destroy it. Burn it. Do not let it near us. The crew froze. The enemy who had once slaughtered millions was now afraid. Afraid of the wreck. Afraid. Of the fallen, the whispers responded with fury. We are not yours. We are not your tools. You cannot erase us. The Hallow Reach trembled. Power surged again. Its broken cannons sparked to life. The ship aimed at the Kithaeron scout. Vey ordered his crew to hold fire. He wanted to see what happened. The wreck fired a single beam, jagged and unstable. It cut through the scout like a knife through glass. The Kithaeron ship exploded in silence. The wreck roared with energy. The whispers screamed with victory. We are not dead. We are not gone. We will rise. The crew of the Sentinel watched in terror. The Hallow Reach was fighting again. It was no longer a ruin. It was a weapon. The science. Officer cried out. He said the ship was not only repairing itself, it was growing. New metal stretched across its wounds. Energy formed plates where no steel remained. The ship was remaking itself. Vey demanded answers. He asked the voices what they were becoming. The reply came from many voices at once. We are human. We are machine. We are the fallen. We are not. Yours to command. The lights flickered again. Shadows moved across the bridge. Soldiers appeared once more, but this time they marched in formation. They carried weapons. Their eyes glowed faint red. The crew backed away in fear. The shadows did not attack. They stood at attention like an army waiting for orders. Then one stepped forward, the female soldier who had spoken Vey's name before. Her ghost-like figure stood inches from him. Her eyes locked on his. You cannot run. You cannot fight. You can only choose. Stand with us or be swept aside. Vey clenched his fists. He asked what they wanted from him. The soldier's voice carried like thunder. We want vengeance. We want release. We want the Kithaeron destroyed. They made us. They chained us. They must pay. The crew looked to their captain. Some whispered yes, some whispered no. Division spread through them like fire. The comm officer spoke in panic. She had found more contacts, not one, not two, dozens. Kithaeron ships approaching from the dark edges of space. The whispers filled the bridge. They are afraid. They fear. What we are. They will burn us if they can. They will burn you too. Choose, Captain, choose now. The Kithaeron fleet drew closer. Their signals screamed warnings. Destroy the wreck. Destroy it now. The crew begged for orders. Some shouted to fire on the Hallow Reach before it grew stronger. Others demanded they protect it. The wreck pulsed with light. The shadows raised their weapons. The whispers chanted louder and louder. For the fallen. For the fallen. For the fallen. Vey's heart pounded. The choice was his. Fire on the wreck and erase the fallen, or stand against the Kithaeron with the very soldiers who were no longer human. Before he could decide, the Hallow Reach made the choice for him. Its engines roared to life. The broken ship turned toward the incoming fleet. The whispers screamed. Together we rise. Together we fight. The Sentinel shook as waves of energy rolled from the wreck. Every console lit with warnings. Shields strained. The Kithaeron fleet spread out. Their weapons charged. The first volley of fire streaked across the void. Explosions lit the dark. The Hallow Reach answered with a blast that tore 3 enemy ships apart. The crew of the Sentinel stood frozen. They were caught in the middle of a storm that should not exist. Vey made his choice. He gave one order. Hold position. Watch. Learn. The battle had begun. The whispers did not fade. They only grew louder. For the fallen. For the fallen. We rise again. The battlefield lit up with fire and shadows. The wreck of the Hallow Reach was no longer silent. Its engines burned with unnatural light. Its broken hull closed like wounds, healing in real time. Weapons that should have been dead for years roared to life and spat fire across the void. The Kithaeron fleet circled. Their warships fired in waves. Beams and missiles ripped through space. But the wreck moved with a will of its own. It dodged when it should have been too slow. It struck with precision that no machine should hold. Every time the Kithaeron pressed forward, the wreck cut through them with violence. On the bridge of the Sentinel, fear ruled every heart. The crew clung to their stations, their eyes wide, their ears filled with the screams of the fallen, whispering through the comms. Captain Aric Vey stood like stone. He did not flinch as the battle raged before him. The science officer's voice cracked. He said the ship was not only fighting, it was learning. Every shot it took, every move it made. It was adapting. It was not just a wreck. It was alive. The comm officer cried out. The whispers had changed again. They were no longer cries for freedom. They were commands, orders, barked like officers driving soldiers. Advance, strike, do not yield. The voices filled every ear. Crew members felt their hands move as if pushed by unseen force. Some nearly obeyed commands that were not their captains. Vey shouted them back to focus. His voice alone cut through the storm. The battle raged on. The wreck fired another blast that split a Kithaeron cruiser in two. The fragments spun into fire. The whispers cheered with voices of the dead. We rise. We rise. We cannot be stopped. The Kithaeron fleet faltered. Their formation broke. They scattered like prey before a hunter. But they did not retreat. They regrouped at distance and prepared to strike again. The science officer shouted once. More. He had found something worse. The wreck was scanning the Sentinel. It was mapping every system, every weapon, every name of every crew member. The whispers confirmed it. You are with us. You are part of us. You cannot hide. The bridge filled with shadows again. Soldiers in broken armor appeared. They marched across the floor, their weapons raised. But instead of pointing at the Kithaeron, they pointed at the Sentinel crew. The comm officer sobbed. She begged for them to stop. The shadows did not fire. They only stared, their empty eyes fixed on every living human in the room. Then the wreck moved faster than before. Its engines flared and it broke away from the Kithaeron fleet. The Sentinel's alarm screamed. The wreck was heading straight for them. Vey ordered evasive maneuvers. The Sentinel turned hard. The wreck followed like a predator, chasing prey. Its weapons locked on. The whispers filled the bridge. You cannot run. You cannot leave us. You will join us. The crew shouted in panic. The pilot pulled hard to starboard. The wreck missed by meters. The impact wave shook the Sentinel. Alarms blared, hull plating groaned. Vey gave the order to fire warning shots. The Sentinel's cannons spat light into the void. The blasts struck the wreck but did nothing. The ship's broken armor absorbed the fire and healed. The whispers laughed, a chorus of voices, soldiers, men, women, all laughing together. You cannot hurt us. We are already dead. We are already risen. The wreck circled back, its engines burned brighter. It chased again. The science officer screamed that the wreck had locked onto their life signs. It was not hunting the ship, it was hunting them. It wanted living humans. The comm filled with the female voice again. Calm, sharp, Captain Vey. Do not fear. We will not kill you. We will keep you. We will use you. You will help us rise. The Sentinel dived through wreckage fields. Broken, hulks of old ships drifted by. The wreck hunted them through the graveyard like a wolf chasing a deer. Every turn they made it matched. Every trick they tried, it countered. The pilot gasped. He said the wreck was predicting their moves before. They made them. It was inside their systems. It knew what they would do. The whispers agreed. We are you. You are us. There is no escape. The Kithaeron fleet opened fire again. Beams slashed across space. Explosions tore at the wreck's hull. But instead of fleeing, it turned on them once more. It released a storm of weapons that shattered another line of ships. The Sentinel slid between fire and debris. The crew cried out as fragments struck their shields. Systems flickered. The ship groaned. Vey clenched his fists. He had to make a choice. If they kept running, the wreck would eventually corner them. If they fought, they would be consumed. The science officer shouted again. He had found a pulse inside the wreck. a signal deeper than the whispers. Something controlling it, something buried at the heart of the Hallow Reach. If they could reach it, if they could strike it, maybe they could end the hunt. The whispers screamed at once as if hearing his thoughts. No, you will not touch the heart. You will not silence us. The shadows surged forward. They filled the bridge. Their ghostly hands reached for the crew. Men and women fell to the floor screaming. They felt cold fingers on their skin, though nothing physical touched them. Vey raised his voice. He shouted through the chaos. He swore they would never bow. His words rang through the bridge. The shadows froze. The whispers fell silent for one breath. The Sentinel twisted hard and dove beneath the wreck. The crew followed Vey's orders with renewed strength. They flew into the shadow of the monster ship. The science officer marked the location of the pulse. Deep inside, near the old power core. Vey gave the order, armor torpedo, aim for the heart. The torpedo launched. It streaked across space and struck the wreck. The explosion shook the void. The wreck howled. The whispers screamed like 1,000 voices in agony. Systems on the wreck flickered. Lights dimmed. Weapons faltered. For one moment, it looked weak. But then it roared back to life, stronger, angrier. Its engines burned hotter, its weapons flared brighter. The whispers returned in rage. You dare strike us. You dare defy us. You will join us or you will burn. The wreck charged again, this time faster than ever, its weapons locked on. The Sentinel had no time to evade. The crew braced for impact, but at the last moment the wreck swerved. It fired. Not at them, but at the Kithaeron fleet behind them. Dozens of warships vanished in storms of fire. The whispers roared with triumph. Do you see? Do you see what we are? We are stronger than death. We are stronger than war. We are the fallen. We are the hunters now. The Sentinel drifted in shock. The wreck turned once more, its weapons fixed back on them. The female voice spoke again. Captain Vey, you cannot hide. You cannot fight. You must choose. Join us or fall with them. The bridge fell into silence. The crew stared at their captain. Fear and hope burned in their eyes. The wreck loomed larger. Its shadows covered their viewports. The hunt was not over. It had only begun. The wreck of the Hallow Reach drifted like a beast with burning eyes. Its weapons glowed. Its hull shimmered as if alive. The voices of the fallen filled every corner of the Sentinel. They whispered. They shouted. They begged. They commanded. Captain Aric Vey stood firm on his bridge. His crew trembled around him. No one knew if the next moment would be their last. The Kithaeron fleet had taken heavy losses. Half their ships were gone. But more were coming. The sensors screamed warnings. New contacts appeared at the edge of the system. A second wave of Kithaeron ships closing fast. The comm officer struggled with her console. A new message broke through. This time not from the wreck, not from the whispers, from the Kithaeron themselves. The alien voice was harsh, cold, but clear. Human vessel. Destroy the derelict. Destroy it now. If you do not, we will destroy you with it. The bridge froze. For the first time in history, the Kithaeron were not boasting. They were begging. Their fear was sharp and real. The whispers answered in fury. They fear us because they know what we are. They know we cannot be killed. They know we cannot be stopped. The shadows marched across the bridge again. Rows of ghost soldiers stood at attention. Their armor cracked, their faces hollow, but their presence was overwhelming. The female soldier stepped forward. Her eyes glowed with pale fire. She spoke with steady calm. Do not listen to them, Captain Vey. They are liars. They enslaved us. They burned our flesh and chained our souls. We are proof of their crimes. Do not serve them. Stand with us. Free us. The Kithaeron voice returned. You do not understand. Those voices are not human anymore. They are disease. They are corruption. If the derelict reaches your world, it will consume it. It will consume everything. The crew erupted in panic. Some shouted that they must obey the Kithaeron. Some screamed that they should stand with the fallen. The bridge filled with chaos. Vey raised his voice. His command cut through the storm. He ordered silence. His eyes locked on the wreck. His voice lowered to a growl. "Explain yourselves. What are you now? What is your purpose?" The whispers swelled, thousands of voices speaking at once. "We are soldiers. We are your brothers and sisters. We were taken. We were broken. The Kithaeron fused us to their machines. They made us weapons that could not die, but we remember who we are. We are still human. We fight for vengeance. We fight for freedom." The Kithaeron broadcast broke in. "We are soldiers. We are your brothers and sisters. We were taken. We were broken. The Kithaeron fused us to their machines. They made us weapons that could not die. But we remember who we are. We are still human. We fight for vengeance. We fight for freedom." The Kithaeron broadcast broke in. The bridge of the Sentinel was silent. Captain Aric Vey's order still echoed in the crew's minds. "Target the core. Prepare to fire." The wreck of the Hallow Reach floated before them like a broken titan. Its hull cracked and burned, its weapons dimmed, yet its presence was stronger than fear itself. The whispers did not stop. They grew louder. Voices of men, women, soldiers, children. They pleaded. They threatened. They begged to be spared. They promised victory. They promised ruin. The female soldier still knelt before the captain. Her glowing eyes locked on his. Her voice trembled. "Captain, we are still here. We are still yours. If you destroy us, you kill the last of us. Do not kill your own." The Kithaeron fleet circled. Their ships charged weapons. Their voices pressed over the comm. "Fire now. Destroy them. If you hesitate, they will consume you as they consume themselves." The science officer's voice cracked as he shouted. The wreck's core was not stable. It pulsed like a heart near collapse. If it detonated, it could tear the system apart. They had little time. The crew looked to their captain. Their hands shook at their stations. Some whispered prayers. Some whispered curses. Vey lowered his hand. His order was sharp. "Hold fire, not yet." Gasps filled the bridge. The Kithaeron voice roared with fury. "Human fool! You doom yourself, you doom us all!" The whispers cheered. Thousands of voices rose in triumph. "You chose us. You chose life. You chose the fallen." But the victory was short. The wreck began to move again. Not with the smooth grace of before, it dragged itself forward. Its hull groaned. Its engines sputtered. But it moved with one clear purpose, toward the jump gate, toward the path to Earth. The science officer shouted again. The wreck was bleeding energy across space. Fragments of light tore from its hull. They were not random. They were signals. The wreck was broadcasting, calling. The comm officer screamed. A new signal answered. Multiple signals, from the wrecks that filled the graveyard. Dead ships long forgotten, human, Kithaeron, unknown. Their systems flickered to life. Their engines glowed faintly. The whispers grew louder. "Rise, rise, all. Of you rise. We are not alone. We are never alone." The graveyard came alive. One by one, the broken hulks shifted. Weapons lit with pale fire. Shadows moved inside shattered hulls. Armies of the fallen stirred from their tombs. On the bridge of the Sentinel, fear turned to dread. The graveyard was no longer a place of death. It was an army. A whispering army. The Kithaeron fleet panicked. Their formation broke. Some ships turned to flee. Others fired wildly into the wrecks. Explosions lit the void. But for every wreck destroyed, two more lit their weapons. The whispers filled every mind. "You cannot stop us. You cannot kill us. We are beyond death. We are forever." The female soldier rose to her feet. Her voice was calm again. "Do you see now, Captain? We are not weak. We are many. We are strong. Together we can burn the Kithaeron. Together we can win this war." Vey stared at the battlefield, his jaw tight, his eyes hard. He spoke in low voice. "You would bring this war back to Earth. You would drag humanity into a fire it cannot survive." The soldier shook her head. "No, we would bring the fire to protect it. No Kithaeron would ever touch your world again." The Kithaeron commander broke through the comm once more. Rage and terror bled through his words. "This is your doing, human. You have unleashed them. You will drown with them." The Kithaeron fleet charged. Their weapons cut through the graveyard. Wrecks shattered. But others swarmed forward. They moved without shields, without fear. They crashed into Kithaeron ships and tore them apart. Ghost soldiers spilled from broken hulls. They stormed the decks of living ships. They cut down every Kithaeron they found. The whispers carried the screams of battle. They bled through the comms. They echoed inside every skull. We rise, we will not fall again." The Sentinel drifted in the storm. The crew clung to their posts. Every second the war grew closer. The science officer shouted above the noise. His scanners showed hundreds of life signatures flickering inside the wrecks. Not alive, not dead. Something in between. Half shadows, half flesh. A nightmare army awakened from the grave. The whispers grew sharper. Some voices pleaded still. Some commanded, "Captain, lead us. We will follow you. Join us. We are stronger together. Fight, kill, rise." The crew broke again. Some shouted to flee before the wrecks consumed them. Others shouted to fight at their side. The female soldier stepped closer, her voice low but sharp. "They will follow you, Captain. They will obey you. You are still human. You are the one voice they will hear above the storm." The Kithaeron shouted over the comm, "Do not believe them. They do not obey. They consume. That is all." The wreck surged forward again. Its weapons tore through another Kithaeron cruiser. The graveyard followed, a tide of fire and shadow. The Kithaeron line broke. Dozens of ships scattered. Some vanished in flames. The whispers screamed in triumph. "Do you see? Do you see? We cannot be stopped." The science officer cried out. His reading spiked. The wreck's core burned brighter than ever. The energy bleed spread across the battlefield. The other wrecks drew from it, fed by it. If the core broke, the entire army would break with it. But if it stabilized, the army would endure forever. The choice was clear. The female soldier locked her glowing eyes on the captain again. "Save us. Protect the core. Give us time to rise." The Kithaeron voice cut across hers. "Destroy the core. Destroy them all. End it here, or it will never end." The bridge trembled as the Sentinel shook under stray fire. The battle drew closer. The whispering army spread across the stars. Captain Vey's face hardened. His voice carried iron. "We will not run, we will not hide, but I will decide who commands this war." He turned to his crew. His order rang clear. "Set course for the wreck. We go to the heart." The crew gasped. Some cried out in fear, but they obeyed. The Sentinel's engines flared. The ship cut through the battlefield. Debris scraped past their shields. Wrecks turned their weapons but did not fire. Shadows watched as they passed. The female soldier stood tall. They know you are the one. They will follow you. They will obey you." The Kithaeron screamed through the comm. "Fool! You will die with them. You will die screaming." The Sentinel dove into the shadow of the Hallow Reach. Its broken hull loomed like a mountain of steel. The whispers grew deafening. Thousands of voices shouting, pleading, demanding, "Join us. Save us. Burn them. Rise with us." The science officer locked onto the core. It pulsed with unstable fire. The heart of the whispering army. Captain Aric Vey stood at the center of the storm. His crew waited. His enemies closed. His allies begged. The whispers filled his mind. The fate of humanity now hung on his next command. The Sentinel cut through the shadow of the wreck like a lone blade. Its hull shook under waves of energy. The whispers of the fallen screamed inside. Every head. The female soldier stood on the bridge, glowing eyes locked on Captain Aric Vey. The crew watched their captain in silence. They waited for his choice. The wreck of the Hollow Reach pulsed with light like a dying star. Its core bled energy into the graveyard. Dead ships stirred to life. Broken weapons spat fire. Shadow soldiers marched inside shattered halls. The whispering army spread across the void. The Kithaeron fleet fought with fury. Their cruisers unleashed storms of fire. Their destroyers swarmed the edges of the graveyard, but for every wreck that burned 3 more rose. The whispers roared with triumph. We rise. We rise. We cannot be stopped. The Kithaeron commander shouted through the comm. His voice burned with rage and fear. Human captain, destroy the core. Now, if you wait any longer, it will be too late. The female soldier stepped closer to Vey. Her voice cut through the chaos. Do not listen. We are still yours. We are still human. Lead us. Command us. We will obey. The bridge was torn between her voice and the enemy's. Some crew whispered that she was right. Some cried that she was lying. The whispers grew louder. A storm of voices pressed into their skulls. Vey stood still, his hands clenched behind his back, his eyes locked on the burning wreck. He spoke at last. His voice was steady. If you are truly human, if you are truly my soldiers, then you will prove it. The whispers fell silent for one moment. The female soldier tilted her head. What must we do? Vey's voice was iron. You will obey. You will take command from me and me alone. If you are truly human, then you will follow the last command of your captain. The bridge froze. The whispers erupted again. Some voices cheered. Some screamed. Some cried. Yes, yes, we will follow. No, we are free. We are not chained again. Rise, rise, obey. The wreck pulsed harder. The female soldier's eyes flared with pale fire. She spoke louder. Captain Vey, give us the order. Tell us to strike. Tell us to destroy the Kithaeron. We will obey. Just say the word. The Kithaeron commander screamed again. They are playing with you. They will not obey. Destroy the core. Now! The science officer gasped. His scanners flared red. The core was close to collapse. If it exploded, it would tear the battlefield apart. Millions of lives would vanish in an instant. Vey turned to his weapons officer. Lock torpedoes on. The core! The crew gasped. Some cried in protest. The female soldier stepped forward, her voice sharp. No, do not do this. You will kill us all. You will silence us forever. Vey raised a hand. Not yet. I want to see the truth first. He looked at her, his voice cut through the storm. Stand down the army. Stop them. Call them back. That is my command. The whispers split again. Thousands of voices argued. Some screamed refusal. Some obeyed. Across the battlefield, some wrecks faltered. Their weapons dimmed. Their movements slowed. Others surged forward with greater fury. The female soldier trembled. Her hands shook. Her voice cracked. We cannot all obey. Some are too far gone. Some only know war. But many still hear you. Many still follow. The Kithaeron pressed harder. Their cruisers closed in. Their beams cut through wreck after wreck. The battlefield lit with fire. Vey's jaw tightened. If you truly follow me, then prove it. Protect the Sentinel. Protect my crew. Drive the Kithaeron. Back, the whispers roared. A tide of voices shouted in unison. Yes, yes, we obey. The wrecks turned. Weapons shifted. Instead of striking the Kithaeron blindly, they formed ranks. They moved with purpose. They shielded the Sentinel with their broken hulls. They unleashed fire together. For the first time, the Whispering Army fought with unity. The Kithaeron fleet faltered. Their formation broke. Wrecks crashed into their ships. Explosions tore across space. The whispers howled with triumph. We obey. We rise. For the captain, for the fallen. The crew of the Sentinel stared in shock. For the first time it seemed possible that the army could be controlled, that they could be commanded. The female soldier stood tall, her eyes burned brighter. "Do. You see now, we are yours. Lead us, command us. Together we can end the Kithaeron forever." The Kithaeron commander screamed in desperation. "Do not believe them. They will betray you. They will consume you. Destroy the core before it is too late," the science officer shouted again. His scanners shook with readings. The core was still unstable. It could collapse at any moment. The energy surge grew. The battlefield could still burn. Vey's face hardened. His voice was cold steel. "If I lead you, if I command you, then you will obey my last command. No lies, no tricks, only truth. Swear it." The whispers swelled. Thousands of voices spoke it. "Once we swear on the blood of the fallen. We swear on the fire of our souls. Command us." The female soldier bowed her head. "We are yours, Captain. Give the order." The bridge was silent. Every crew member waited. The Kithaeron closed in again. The core pulsed brighter. The wreck trembled like a dying beast. Vey raised his hand. His voice thundered across the storm. "Then hear my last command. You will not go to Earth. You will not consume the living. You will turn your fire on the Kithaeron. You will burn them here. And when this battle is done, you will rest. You will fall silent. You will not rise again." The whispers shrieked. Some screamed in rage. Some cried in sorrow. Some obeyed at once. "Yes, yes, we obey. No, we will not die again. Rest, rest at last." The female soldier lifted her head. Tears of light ran down her hollow face. "We will obey, Captain, for the fallen, for you." The battlefield erupted. The whispering army surged forward. They tore through the Kithaeron fleet with unmatched fury. They crashed into cruisers. They burned destroyers. They shattered warships with their broken hulls. The Kithaeron screamed as their fleet fell apart. The Sentinel stood in the center of the storm. Protected, untouched, the whispers filled the void. For the captain, for the fallen, for humanity, the science officer cried out. The core reached its limit. The reading spiked beyond control. It would not hold. It would explode. The female soldier looked at Vey one last time. Her voice soft. "It is time. Thank you for giving us one last command." The wreck flared with light. The core burned brighter than any star. The whispering army roared their final cry. For the fallen. The explosion tore across the battlefield. A wave of fire consumed the graveyard. The Kithaeron fleet vanished in storms of light. Wrecks shattered to dust. Shadows dissolved into silence. The Sentinel shook under the force. Its shield screamed. Its hull cracked, but it held. When the fire cleared, the void was empty. Only broken fragments drifted. The whispers were gone. The bridge was silent. The crew sat in shock. Their ears rang with the memory of voices that no longer spoke. Captain Aric Vey stood at the center, his face hard, his voice steady. "It is done." They obeyed. "They are gone." The female soldier was gone. Her shadow no longer stood on the bridge. Only silence remained. The Sentinel drifted alone in the graveyard. The war was not over. The Kithaeron still lived beyond this system, but the whispering army was gone. The fallen had obeyed their last command, and humanity had been spared. The void was quiet. The wreck of the Hallow Reach was gone. The whispering army was gone. The Kithaeron fleet was gone. Only fragments of metal drifted through the stars. The battlefield that had once roared with fire now lay still. The Sentinel floated among the wreckage, its hull scarred, its shields broken, but it lived. The crew sat in silence at their stations. None spoke, none moved. Their ears rang with the memory of voices that no longer whispered. For the first time since the battle began, there was silence. Captain Aric Vey stood on the bridge. His eyes swept the void. He listened. He waited. Nothing came. No cries. No laughter. No whispers. Only silence. The science officer checked his readings again and again. His voice was low and trembling. They are gone. All of them. No signals, no energy surges, no shadows. They are gone. The crew sighed with relief. Some wept quietly. Others bowed their heads, yet their relief was not complete. The silence felt heavy. It pressed on their hearts like a weight. The comm officer broke the stillness. Her voice cracked. What if they return? What if they whisper again? The captain turned his gaze on her. His voice was firm but calm. They gave their word. They obeyed their last command. They are gone. The bridge fell silent again. The crew wanted to believe him. They wanted to trust. But fear lingered in their eyes. Hours passed. The Sentinel drifted among ruins. Fires burned on broken hulls. Shadows of destroyed ships floated like ghosts of steel. The stars shone cold above them. A message came through at last. Not from the whispers, not from shadows, from human command. Sentinel, report. What is your status? What happened in that sector? The comm officer looked at her captain. He gave a short nod. She sent the message back. Her voice steady, though her hands shook. This is the Sentinel. The wreck of the Hallow Reach is destroyed. The Kithaeron fleet is destroyed. The fallen are gone. Static answered. Then the voice of command spoke again. Understood. Return. At once. Earth must hear your report. Do not delay. The channel went silent. The crew looked at each other. Some smiled weakly. Some looked pale with dread. They had survived, but what they had seen would never leave them. The pilot set the course. The engines flared. The Sentinel turned from the graveyard and began the long journey home. The bridge lights dimmed. Shadows stretched across the walls. The silence remained. Heavy. As the crew worked, small things began to happen. The lights flickered. The air grew cold. The comm picked up faint static. The science officer frowned at his console. Strange. A weak signal, faint, almost nothing. The crew froze, their eyes wide. The officer worked fast. He scanned again. The signal came and went. A whisper in the dark. The comm hissed once more. A single word broke through. Captain! The voice was faint. Almost broken, but it was human, it was familiar. The crew gasped. The comm officer clutched her headset. It cannot be. They are gone. They are gone. The signal cut off. The void returned to silence. Captain Vey stood like stone. His jaw tight, his eyes cold. Do not speak of it, do not report it. The fallen are gone. The crew obeyed. But the fear did not fade. Days passed as the Sentinel crossed the stars. The silence never left. Every night crew members heard things in their dreams, voices calling, shadows watching. Some woke screaming, others woke crying. They never told what they saw, but all felt it. The fallen had not left them. The female soldier appeared once more, not to all, only to the captain. Late at night on the empty bridge, she stood before him, her eyes glowing pale. Her voice soft. We kept our word. We obeyed. But remember this, Captain. Silence does not mean death. Silence only waits. One day the fallen may rise again. And when they do, they will need a voice to lead them. Yours. Vey did not answer. He stood in silence, his hands clasped behind his back, his eyes fixed on the stars. When he looked again, she was gone. The Sentinel reached the jump gate at last. Its engines roared as it crossed the threshold. The void twisted, the stars bent, and then they were through. The Earth system lay before them. Blue oceans, green fields, cities glowing with light, home. The crew wept with relief. They cheered, they embraced. They had survived the whispers, they had survived the fallen, but Captain Vey did not smile. His eyes stayed cold, his heart heavy. He knew the silence was not the end. It was only the beginning. The Sentinel descended into orbit. Messages filled the comm, orders, greetings, demands for answers. But the crew spoke little. Their voices were flat, their eyes haunted. Vey stood before the Council of Earth Command. His report was short. The fallen are gone, the wreck destroyed. The Kithaeron fleet destroyed. The threat ended. The Council pressed him with questions. He gave no more than he must. He spoke no word of the whispers that still lingered. He spoke no word of the voice that had called his name. The Council accepted his report. They praised the Sentinel. They called them heroes. They promised medals and honors. But the crew felt no triumph, only silence. In the weeks that followed, the crew scattered. Some retired. Some requested reassignment. Some vanished into quiet places far from war. They had survived, but they carried the whispers in their minds. Captain Vey remained. He stayed with the Sentinel. He patrolled the void in silence, his eyes always on the stars, waiting, listening. One night he stood alone on the bridge. The stars stretched endless before him. The silence pressed on him. Then the comm hissed. A faint voice spoke once more. "Captain, we are waiting." The sound faded. The silence returned. Vey closed his eyes. His voice low. "I know." The void outside the Sentinel was dark and empty, but in the silence something moved, something watched, something waited, and the whispers of the fallen were not truly gone.